Great to be here. Thank you for the organizers. A really cool event. Didn't know that there would be so many fireworks for this. So I'm Alex. I'm a PM and researcher at Starkware. And today I'll be talking about building a secure Starknet. So when we are building a Starknet, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. It's not that we are so smart that we are thinking about it ourselves. The ecosystem has been up for a while. There are many lessons learned in security and smart contract security in particular. But building a new system, there's an opportunity to take some of the known concepts and rethink them, think about new approaches. And that's exciting when we are building a new system like this. So today I'll be talking about the three pillars of Starknet security as I see them. Validity proofs, smart accounts, and Cairo, the native language of Starknet. Mainly I'll focus on smart accounts and Cairo. So just a brief overview. Starknet is a validity rollup on top of Ethereum. That means that data is posted on L1 as state diffs. A proof is submitted to the L1 verifier contract, and once the verifier checks the proof, then we know that everything is fine and the state is final and the execution was correct. So that's validity rollups, and I will move to the next topics. So a bit about user woes, the users of our networks of the blockchains that we are building. So meet Happy Guy, he's a new user to blockchain. He just got into the space. He watched some videos, he wants to make money and get rich. He opens a wallet, gets some tokens, starts participating in DeFi, and getting big bags with all the right meme coins. One day, he's been out in the lovely streets of Paris, having fun, drinking a bit, and coming home and seeing this pop-up that tells him, put your seed phrase here or your money is going to be lost. Which he digs out of the closet, puts in there, and the rest is that someone needs to come in and save whatever is possible from his money. Has this happened to you, or do you know anyone who this happened to? Raise your hand. Probably everybody. Okay, so his bags got a little smaller, but he's still pretty happy, and he's going to make it all back in one trade. So he approves some ERC20 on Uniswap. Maybe a while ago, maybe he even forgets about it, and then opens up crypto Twitter with cold sweat and starts remembering all the stuff that he needed to approve and now needs to revoke, which probably also you know someone who this happened to. So enter native smart accounts. So smart accounts, or what is also known as account abstraction, is the only way that you can interact with the Starknet chain, and there are many benefits to that. Non-subtraction, fee abstraction, but mainly here I'll talk about signature abstractions and multicalls. So signature abstractions is basically that we can write any code, in Cairo in this case, and verification of this code is the way to make a transaction. And because this is a layer 2, it is much cheaper. We can make some interesting use cases here. We can make 2FA, MFA that is built into the account. We can make signatures with hardware signers, also more ubiquitous hardware wallets like iPhones, which is also already live and available on wallets that are operating on Starknet today, like Argent and Bravos. And of course, you can change the private key rotation, and other stuff. So definitely would have saved the Happy Guy from a lot of trouble if he would have enabled 2FA or some additional signing besides his seed phrase. Another maybe unpopular, or maybe, I don't know, I don't see this discussed enough, is the benefits of the multicall. So this is how an interaction usually looks like in DeFi. You approve some ERC20 to use your contract, interact with the contract, and if you are diligent enough, you also remember to revoke it. And of course, this is bad UX. This is more expensive, so users just will put an infinite approve, probably forget about it, and now, even if you are diligent, apparently there are scammers who are scamming the revokers. So this is quite fun as well. Unlike the multicall, where everything is done in a single transaction, of course, it is cheaper, it's better UX, you only do one click. But the really cool thing about it is because of the way that of the data availability on Starknet, this is also the cheaper way to interact with the network. So in the state if data availability model, you only post on L1 the changes to the state. So if there has been no change to the approve, no change to the state here because it was given, used, or revoked at the end of the transaction, no state if, so cheaper transaction is a safer transaction, which is pretty cool. So why are people still using EOA? It's not that smart contracts accounts were invented yesterday. They've been around for a while on Ethereum and other EVM chains as well. Probably the main reason, again, everything here that you can't do with an EOA, but what you can do is open a YouTube and see how do you interact with blockchain and see that you need to open MetaMask. So you say, okay, Alex, you've been living under a rock. 4337, thank you, Av, has been published and is taking over the world. And the problem with 4337 is it is not the default, right? It is an application layer, specifically in Ethereum. You start using it, you figure out that opening a new account is expensive. You default to using the EOA, and then you use the same EOA across all the AVM chains that you're bridging to, right? The bridge knows this address, you know this address, you know how to use it, you just keep using the EOA. 4337 is great, and really hope that we as a community adopt it and start using it more. Just we need to think of a way to make it the only way to interact with the blockchain, because that's how users will be forced to use it and rethink their old patterns. Of course, with it being an applicative solution, there are some interesting concepts to think about. Bundler MEV, who is building the bundles, who is adding the bundles into the block, but that's a talk for another time. Bottom line, native smart accounts makes Darknet safer. Okay, so we covered the users. Now let's talk about the developer woes. So happy guy is finished his degening life. He's now saying, okay, I'm gonna go heads down building the next DeFi protocol and get rich by that. And he's building a proxy, also interesting, great talk before that on proxies. Building a proxy so he can upgrade his account later. And take some code. Maybe you can take a look and think what would happen to this code later. And this caused $6 million lost in Odious. And the root cause is just because of how Solidity maps storage, right? It is based on slots, and the first storage of the proxy is also the first storage slot of the implementation. So if you are not thinking about it and not considering or leaving space or doing some fancy stuff to make sure there is no collision there, you might run into some issues like that. Another case, which is also interesting, so there is some function here that either takes some ETH or takes some ERC20 and uses it later in the code. And this, again, was a hack in open in this case. And the root cause is this. In this example, it was because there was some assumption about the message value that was used a few times while calling the function. But I would say that another possible issue that did not happen here is that there is a special treatment for ETH, and there is no guarantee that this if-else is implemented everywhere in the code. Even if it did not require some special treatment, you would still need to make sure that there is an if-else for every special token that you are handling. So a bit of an introduction to Cairo. So Cairo is the smart contract language of Starknet. If you have maybe seen Cairo before, it has been significantly revamped in the past few months, and very much inspired by Cairo, by Rust, both in syntax and approaches to how it handles memory safety and type safety. So Cairo is compiled to Sierra, a safe intermediate representation. There are some great talks by the guys who are developing it on YouTube that compiles to Cairo assembly, and that's what actually runs on Starknet. So there are some really great features in Cairo, memory and type safety, as I mentioned, ownership of storage and of data during the execution. Quite importantly, a strict compiler, right? Again, very much in the spirit of Rust, when you are writing Cairo code now, the compiler will lead you through, right? It will pop up errors. It's not going to be smooth sailing, which is what we want. We want our compilers to give guardrails as much as possible to our developers who are building systems that should be handling money. Few examples from before, just addressing, I guess, the cases shown in the example. So it's a Starknet-Cairo combination. First, in Starknet, the storage slots are a result of the hash of the name of the storage. There can still be collisions, but most likely, if you defined an admin variable, you would still want it to be the admin variable after you do the upgrade. Right? Upgrades are still possible, and bugs are still possible. But it makes sense. And in Cairo, this is how storage definition looks like. It's very explicit. There are explicit types that are followed by the compiler in runtime and in compilation time. And all the storage is defined in one place, which is really nice for auditors to see. There are no storage slots appearing. And the second example here is enums, which is also a pretty cool tool. Again, a Starknet combination for this is that there is no special fee token. The fee token is also in ERC20. So no special treatment needed for the message value, and it's all in ERC20. Again, just not being shackled to, this has to work exactly like Ethereum and the EVM. And the enums here are also really cool, that even if you have several tokens that you need to handle, once you add another variable here to the enum, you will have to go over all of the code. The compiler will shout at you that there is a case you're not handling in your switch case, and you will have to address it everywhere in the code where there is where this enum is used. So bottom line, languages that we use for smart contracts and DeFi should be safe, which is what we are trying to do. Short summary, Solidity is great. It's really fun. It's really great to develop, and it's also fun to learn all the quirks and features of Solidity, right? And it's fun for the developer. It's fun for the auditor that needs to find these bugs later and puts bread on the table. But Cairo, in this case, takes the opportunity to make a much safer language. So this is different. This is a new ecosystem. It is growing. We are, of course, bugs will happen, and it will be interesting to come here, hopefully maybe next year, and discuss edge cases and cool bugs that were found in Cairo. This is where we need a community, right? This is a great opportunity to join and be the first to develop all these tools and all the good and best practices that are used in Solidity in the Starknet ecosystem as well. So many builders and tools are already there, and great opportunity for you to join. Links to follow us and me, and a link to the Telegram security community that I hope will kickstart from this session. Thank you.
One. Thanks for great speech and really inspirable way to learn Cairo. I'm really interested and check the documentation how to build on Cairo. I think many of people as well. And now it's time for a few questions. I check timing so I can see hand here.
Hi, you're making an argument that account abstraction makes .NET more safer for users and developers. But AA is pretty standard these days in L2s as enshrined, protocol level, as well as L1 solutions. What's the difference? Why does it make .NET, more safer than anyone else?
Okay, yeah. So the argument there is mostly that there is no fallback to the EOA, right? A lot of chains and L1s, L2s that are trying to be compatible there are making an EOA an option because it's easier and easier to onboard more people that are already using it. If there are chains that are already implementing it and making it the default, then great. If they are implementing hardware signing with iPhones, great. I mean, this is the way to go.
One more question. Okay, if we have no questions 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks so much. It was great.